All right, we got the front axle back up on the workbench here. Got the truss sitting on top of it, as you can see. We've just done a little bit of cleanup and a little bit of trimming around some sections of the truss just to get it to sit absolutely perfect. I'm sure every housing is slightly different. So, you know, it was very close, but we just wanted the gaps to be just a little bit tighter. So, you know, very minimal amount of work really to get it all set up and on there as like sitting how we want it. So the next step is going to be to start tacking the truss together. Then we can pull the truss off, weld it out, and then we'll eventually weld the truss to the housing. There's a bit of a different process to welding the truss to the housing, being that it's steel to cast iron. So yeah, we'll get this off after we've tacked it and then weld it out and we'll go from there. Okay, we've got the truss pretty well fully welded out. Haven't done the 3 plates here, like, you know, up and down sort of thing. Was gonna wait till after we've got the truss pretty much welded to the axle before doing those final welds there. So the next process here is start tacking it all on. I've got a clamp so as it hopefully doesn't really move too far or anything. It's sitting really nicely, so yeah, we'll get some tacks on here, then we'll start stitch welding the truss to the axle tubes. And then the final process will be preheating the axle, the cast section here with the truss and get it up to about 400, 450 Fahrenheit. Weld it right out all the way along on both sides, and then we'll wrap it in a blanket, and that'll be like a post-heat cool down sort of thing. So that way, yeah, it doesn't cool down too rapidly, as steel and cast iron, I believe this is cast iron, cool at different rates. So it's very important that you try and, you know, keep them both the same temperature and they cool slowly together, and that way it'll stop any cracking or anything like that. This is what we got to work with, and I'm sure it's going to be plenty strong enough. So yeah, we'll start tacking it up. So we've got the truss now welded on to the axle tubes, and it was quite a pain, let me tell you. I don't know what it was, whether it's the welder or the prep or just me, but I kept getting porosity in a lot of the welds. I had to die grind them back out, redo them. I tried redoing the prep, I made sure that, you know, like each area was as good as I could get it before I would start welding. And sometimes it would do it, sometimes it wouldn't. I tried different gas flow and all sorts. Yeah, what a pain. Anyway.
Okay, so we got the front truss welded onto the axle. The only thing we have to do still is weld the center of the truss to the center of the axle. That's cast, so we need to get some special rod, either stick or TIG. We have to order that because our local supplier does not supply that, so that kind of sucks. We're gonna have to order some, but that can be done at a later date, no problem. We got everything assembled as far as the front axle is concerned, put the tires back on it, and we got it rolled underneath the body. Have a good look at how it will look. We've moved the front axle 5 inches from its original position. It might be too much, but that's what we're going to start with. Try to get good clearance and get a really good approach angle on this thing. We'll have to see if that's where it will stay, but it'll probably be between 5 and 3 inches. We'll see where it ends up. My next task is going to be cutting the front of this Pajero apart. I never thought I'd say that I'd be cutting the front of a Pajero off, but I am. That's pretty cool. So basically what we're going to do is cut all this out. All this, there's a line here, that's all going to come off. Save this for mounting it to a new kind of subframe area later on. I'm going to cut all this out so then we can get the engine fitted, transmission fitted. We might have to change the frame rails because as you can see there, the pinion is really close to the frame rail. So we're probably going to have to change that. We did check the rule book for the King of the Hammers. That is allowed to change the frame, so that's good because we're going to need the room. So yeah, I'm going to get started cutting this thing apart and we'll go from there. So as you can see, we got the whole front end of the Pajero cut away. We saved the headlight and radiator mounting area, obviously, because we're going to need that. But cut the wheel wells out, cut all the brackets off the firewall, cleaned it up. That was easy. Found a hole, a little bit of rust, along with the other rust that we found. So we'll have to clean all that up. But other than that, it's ready for us to mock up this thing. There's our power plant, there's our engine transmission. It's a 6-liter iron block LSQ.
LQ4.
LQ4 with a 4L80 transmission.
Yep. Very crusty.
Very what?
Very crusty.
Yeah. It's obviously going to need to be rebuilt. Both the engine and the transmission will need to have work done on it, rebuilt.
Yeah, we're going to go with a manual valve body, most likely reverse pattern shifting, so that it would be park, reverse, neutral, first, 1, 2, 3, 4, basically, sort of. And that way it'll make it a lot easier for us when you got to go forward and backwards in sort of tight rock crawling scenarios, sort of thing. It's much easier to go reverse, neutral first than having to go all the way down through, especially with like a winter shifter or something of that sort of description. So.
Yeah, way better for off-roading. So basically what we're going to do now is, since we have it on the lift, we're going to lift this thing up, get it in the frame, and we want to just see what kind of clearance, what kind of things we're going to have to do to make this thing fit.
Yep.
Likely we're going to have to move these frame rails. They're going to have to go out maybe a little bit higher, but we want to put it all in there, get a good idea on what we need to order for material and how we're going to go forward.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to tackle now.
Grab some pliers because that thing goes down in a hurry, especially with that much weight on it. And we've got it set for, this isn't even quarter ton, by the way.
Oh yeah, you guys modified.
Yeah, we drilled a little extra hole get a bit more distance out of it.
Oh, it's gonna fit no problem. So there you have it. This thing is in place, but we definitely have a lot of work to do in regards to getting this thing to fit properly. We'd like to move it farther back. There's not a lot of room to mount a radiator.
Or even just the air intake there.
Yeah, air intake is really close.
So
steering shaft is probably going to have to be modified and moved over to the right.
Yeah, we'll come
or
further,
left, I guess.
Further this way.
Yeah.
We're going to have the steering box outside the frame rail, which is how it was originally set up on the Pajero anyway.
Yeah.
And I think to gain more clearance for the front axle, we're going to cut the frame rail off. We'll bring the frame rail up and keep it outside of what we have here now. Outside, and the bottom of the frame rail, the new one, would be level with the top of this frame rail. And then that way we can move the engine up a little bit more, back a bit further, and gain all the clearance for up travel that we can get.
Yeah.
So
kind of just confirm that, you know, got a lot of modifications to do. But
yeah,
we should be able to make this combination of engine and transmission work.
for sure. All right, we've got the truss now sitting on the back axle. We've got the front axle pretty much finished off other than welding the truss to the cast. We needed some special rods. Don't have them, have to order them, so it's not a big deal right now. So the next step is to start welding this one on. We have the back wall of the truss just tacked to the top. We need to now tack the front to the top and then try and bend the outer sections down so as they lock into these key slots properly and sit nice and tight against those front and rear walls. So do that, and then there'll be a little bit of finessing probably to make this sit perfect on the housing. Then we can weld it out. So let's get stuck into it.
So as you can see, we got the rear axle in place, put the wheels back on, trying to just see where everything will sit and land on how we want it to be. Immediately we noticed that we can't get the axle far enough back with the way the body is right now. So one of the first things we're gonna have to do before we actually set this axle in the perfect position is gonna have to cut a lot of this fender off. A lot of this body off. So we were kind of drawing some pictures on the other side on how we want it done. So that's one thing we found. While off camera, we built a couple stands, a little bit more sturdy than just a jack stand. It's adjustable with some nuts here and bolts, so we can get it up and down, level the entire frame, front to back, side to side. So that's good. Yeah, pretty much we're underneath there, just checking out where our links are going to be, did some measurements, try to figure out how exactly we're gonna do all this.
Dude, you're ruining my B-roll.
Man, those axles are sweet.